Let's go. Welcome to the Beyond Jiu Jitsu podcast. My name is Adam Childs, co-host with my man,
Kieren Lefebvre.
We're here, episode 90. I can't believe we are 10 short episodes away from episode 100, if my math checks out,
100
which I
episodes.
believe it does. Wait.
90 plus 10 is 100.
Yes.
Well done.
Tick. We are on to another edition of Ask a Black Belt. Wow, wow, wow.
We haven't used it in a while. The wow button.
Did you actually put the wow, wow button in?
It's on. It's on. Yeah.
Is it?
Mate, I used
used
to
it?
do it all the time.
Did you? Well, I remember
I just haven't used it in a while.
I remember just saying. So good.
So we had a wow running joke for the first 100 episods, or not really,
90.
50.
First 90
episodes, but now we have a button. Anyway, this is the worst intro. I totally shit the bed.
No, it was good, bro. It was
good. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, we're doing another Ask a Black Belt. That's right. If you remember last Ask a Black Belt, episode 80, we pretty much do them every 10 episodes. Was the last one where we took any text questions.
That was our last. We said in that episode that this is it. This is the end. This is no more.
So we're only on to the audio format, which is nice.
Yep.
Because we get to hear your voices. You know, I know some people are reluctant to record and send it, but man, just remind yourself. Turn on the radio and listen to the idiots who call in radio stations to say nothing.
That's not giving our audience confidence. We're referring to them. It's like, do you want to be an idiot? Well, submit a question.
I'm saying,
No,
yeah, you're not calling a radio station,
yeah.
mate. I don't get the people that call radio stations. Guys, I just wanted to say I love you. And I once went away on a weekend. 106.5 kiss. And you're like, what? Why did you even pick up the phone and wait on hold for 2 hours to say that?
Yeah, no idea. But that just goes to show that those are the types of people that listen to radio these days. So mate,
that is true.
No one listens to radio. People listen to Spotify and people listen to the Beyond Jiu Jitsu podcast.
That's right. I actually went through a bit of a phase of listening to the radio.
Yeah, you said that because you went on a rant about fucking some radio intro for 20 minutes on one
Will
episode.
And Woody.
Yeah, let's not rehash that. Yeah. I shouldn't have brought it up.
But yeah, cleaning swimming pools. I used to spend heaps of time driving around and a bit lonely in the car by yourself. Just having the radio on makes you feel like you got friends.
Well, now listening to this podcast makes people feel like they have friends, and we are your friend. We are one friend. We are the one.
I have one friend. It's the Beyond Jiu Jitsu podcast.
That's a clip. Okay, so without further ado, we have 3 awesome questions, audio questions. We do have some text ones, but I'm sorry, we're not going to answer them. If you are one of the people that are waiting for your question to be answered, it's because it's not audio.
So sad, so mad.
So if you want to submit a question, you can do so via Instagram. But without further ado, let's get into it. Today, we're talking about some different issues dealing with plateaus. We're talking about competitions. We're talking about integration of techniques. So without further ado, the first question is from David. Let's get into it.
Hey, this is Dave from Alliance Jiu Jitsu, Blue Belt. My question for Ask a Black Belt is, when you feel like you are plateauing, what's the best way to get out of that and make sure you're not just developing bad habits or getting deterred and stay motivated?
Awesome question,
Dave. How to stay motivated? That's a whole different topic, but I guess along the same lines of the question. Motivation is I always say motivation is fleeting though. Motivated isn't. It's easy to do something when you're motivated. Pretend motivation doesn't exist. You just got to be disciplined. That's the correct way to think about it. However, there's a lot of ways you could approach this plateau sort of feeling. Firstly, get on board with it. It's okay. Everyone goes through it, particularly blue belts, because it's such a long slog. And so it's okay to plateau or feel like you're plateauing. There's so many examples of it. you compare yourself to your own training partners who are also improving. So it feels like you're not getting better, but actually you are. But I would put it into sort of two ways I think you should approach this, Dave. One is a bit more connected to the motivational side of things, which is, man, remember jiu-jitsu's fun, okay? What I'm going to say now is lots of stuff that I've spoken about in previous episodes, that you probably started jiu-jitsu because it's fun and you enjoy doing it, okay? So if you're lacking a bit of motivation, man, remind yourself why you enjoy jiu-jitsu. Is it because you enjoy the satisfaction of passing someone's guard, or is it because you enjoy doing straight footlocks or whatever it is? Like, what part of jiu-jitsu is giving you a kick at that particular moment, right? I really like to embrace like the fun side of jiu-jitsu. In terms of how do you, with a more methodical approach, deal with a plateau, I believe, let me just see if I can pull up the specific episode, which you've probably listened to, Dave, because I believe you listened to most of our episodes. I don't know if I told you this. Dave said to me like a few weeks back, he goes, "Oh man, I was listening to the podcast." He was like, I got a shout out on one of the episodes. And because we record a little in advance, I was like, oh, which episode was it? I can't, remember what was where we're up to in terms of what is he listening to and when did we last record? He's like, man, I got a shout out on one of the episodes. I was like, oh, what episode? And he goes, top 5 white belt mistakes. And he's like, but a shout out's a shout out.
Oh, shout out, Dave.
Let me see if I can quickly find it. But essentially the more methodical approach that I want to mention, and we probably went over it in episode 79, specialist versus all-rounder, but it's having deliberate training. And I probably in that episode, or if it was another one maybe titled deliberate training, I can't recall, I would have said something along the lines of, to make it mathematically simple, let's just break up our year into 2-month blocks, right? And deliberately focus on something for that 2 months. It's hard when you're at the lower end of your jiu-jitsu journey because that can seem like a long time. But when it's been something you've done for a long time, I had this same conversation with this guy, Mike, a black belt, who trains with us. And I sat down and I was talking about deliberate training with Mike. And I said, man, if I asked you in the last year, what part of your jiu-jitsu have you improved? Like, what have you gotten better at in jiu-jitsu wise in the last 12 months? He's like, man, like, not like nothing as in I haven't gotten better, but like, what have I specifically gotten better?
Can't put a finger
on
it.
Like, I don't know. I've just been training. If you could, the theory is, if you could, let's say, again, mathematically simple, break it up into 2-month blocks, work on something specifically for 2 months. Imagine if in a year's time, someone asks you, what have you gotten better at in the last 12 months? And you could name 6 different things because you had spent 2 months at a time working on something specifically. Man, that's how you get some, tangible, right? Some sort of something tangible to say, oh, I've gotten better at this. And 2 months is a really, it's not a long period of time. I believe, again, in this episode, I kind of rudimentarily broke down the numbers that if you go, okay, well, 2 months you train, let's say twice a week, 16 times in the 2 months, right? And let's say maybe of half of those you get to the position that you want to try. So maybe only 8 times in 2 months you even got to try the thing you're working on. So it's really not a huge amount of time. For example, me at the moment, I'm specifically working on, wait a second, I'm not telling you, right? No, I'm like specifically working on entering into some variation of X guard and then attacks from there, whether it's sweeps or submissions, or even it might just be X guard and then transitioning to another position like from X guard to K guard or whatever. But I'm essentially, and I'm tunnel visioning it. That's all I'm doing, right? It's all I'm trying to focus on. And in 2 months' time, or even let's say in 6 months' time, I'm going to be able to look back and just as a whole be like, man, like my X guard's gotten way better.
I'm working on worm guard.
No, you're not. You don't even know what a guard is. No.
That's where you stand back up, right?
Yeah. So that, Dave, is what you need to do, right? If we kind of the three things, right? First, just be okay with it. Everyone, man, that's just jiu-jitsu. Not only do you have moments of plateau, you have moments of feeling like you got worse. And unfortunately, that doesn't go away. You know, I still have feelings of plateau or feelings of like I'm getting worse, right? And sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it might be because that particular position with that particular training partner, they've gotten much better at said position technique. So you haven't gotten worse. You've just now gone up against someone who has vastly improved. You don't know. Maybe that's been their thing they've been working on for 2 months, right? So firstly, plateaus, it's cool, man. It happens. So that's the first thing. Second thing, talking about the motivational side of it. Remember, it's fun. You do it because it's fun. So find the fun again. And thirdly, you got to have some deliberate training, right? Like I always give the example analogy. You don't just walk into a gym and go, yeah, 3 bicep curls there, and I'll go do 1 push-up and 5 squats. Good workout.
Sounds like an Adam workout.
Yeah.
That's your workout, bro.
And that's how a lot of people train jiu-jitsu, essentially, you know. And I'll give you or at least do this. If some people don't like deliberate training because they just like the sort of, for lack of a better term, the carefreeness of jiu-jitsu, in the sense that like they enjoy the fact that it's, well, I just do what's feeling good, and that sort of, because I actually quite enjoy having roles like that where I'm like, man, I'm going to do what feels good and right in the moment. Okay. I enjoy that sort of more open, free sort of, think about it like this. I'm sure there's professional surfers who they would catch a wave and specifically do certain things because they would want to score high points on a wave. But I bet you professional surfers also just enjoy like just
surfing,
catching the wave, man. And I'm just, and just doing what feels right at the moment and just enjoying the wave. So like I enjoy roles like that too. So let's say, Dave, you train 4 classes a week and you're thinking like me, oh man, I don't want to like specifically have to tunnel vision this one thing for 2 months. All right, well,
pick 2 things.
Yeah. Oh, no. But, have 3 of the classes be deliberate and 1 where it's whatever. When I used to do strength and conditioning with JT from Bulletproof for BJJ, we used to train together he did a lot of my strength and conditioning preparation when we lived together in Brazil. We used to do, I can't remember. I think we did like 4 workouts a week or something like that. And 3 of them were something like, 1 workout was a pulling workout, 1 was a pressing workout, and then the third was a bit of a more sort of, probably, I guess you could label it as like mobility-esque, but it was a bit more sort of, not la-di-da, but it was like, some Turkish get-ups, and it was a bit more sort of
full body.
Yeah, I don't want to use the word filler, but it was like, wasn't like, oh, we're going in and doing legs. It was a kind of, So maybe do your training like that. Anyway, I'm rambling a little bit. Plateaus, it's fine, Dave. Everyone has them, so it's okay. 2, find the fun. And 3, implement some deliberate training. And if you're not sure, what do you want to deliberately implement? Well, you could ask me, right, when you see me.
Mm-hmm. That's what I did, I think.
Yeah, you did, right?
Like, oh man, it feels like a lifetime ago. Like over a year ago, you referred me to check out a specific athlete, and that led me down to looking at that style, and then we went pressure passing.
Yep, and here we are today.
And I'm still terrible.
Yeah, we're getting there. It's been 18 months, but it's been a long 2 months.
Yeah.
Right. So you could ask me, Dave, and I could give you some advice, but also you can answer that. It's only a 2-month period, right? Maybe where do you feel like you want to improve or should improve? Is it your guard? Is it your passing? Is it your mount attacks or whatever?
Yeah. What style do you like? And then if you don't know what style you like, look at some athletes. What athletes do you like? Does your body type fit that style? Et cetera. And then go for that.
So that would be my overall, those 3 things, Dave.
Yeah.
I hope that helps, bro. If not, try a different podcast.
Money back
No.
guarantee.
Yeah,
Give you your
Dave's
money
like,
back.
I gave you money. I'm like, not yet, Dave, but you will.
I'm not even going to make that joke. Okay. Next question is from O'Sheen. So let's listen to that.
Hey, Kieren and Adam. My name's O'Sheen. Just wondering what your best advice is for staying active between your divisions on comp day if your divisions have more than an hour between them. Thanks.
It's an awesome question. I know O'Sheen competes quite a lot. So that's where this sort of question is coming from. He's regularly competing.
It is a good question. So he has, you were going to mention, how do you know he competes so much?
Well, I know him personally. He's come to our gym. You've met him. Oh, were you even there? I don't even know if you were there. He runs a Instagram page, the Grapplers Gambit, and he's come to Alliance. So shout out to O'Sheen and the Grapplers Gambit on Instagram. He basically is doing this thing where he's going around a whole bunch of gyms in the area and like reviewing them. Or not like as in like, oh, this is 4 stars, 5 stars, but like experiencing different gyms and documenting the process. It's really cool. Follow along.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, good question. Staying active when you have a long time between your divisions. So if it's not that much of a long time, I'm just going to stay on my feet, stay sort of like mobile, you know, in the bullpen. But yeah, if you're getting an hour between divisions, right? If you're getting an hour between matches in the same division, I would not re-register for that tournament again.
Yeah.
That is very poorly run.
Yeah.
But between divisions, like you're going from gi to no gi or whatever, man, for me personally, I wouldn't stay active. I'd take a fucking nap.
Yep.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I would just recover. Like an hour, in my opinion, is too long of a time to stay active. Like it is enough of a gap that you're going to have to warm up again, pretty much. Right. So I'm not going to stay active. If I've got that much weight, depending on what's going on dietary wise, you know, am I going to eat something or drink something? How's my weight? Have I already weighed in? Ignoring those factors, I'm literally going to chill, right? And depending on how I'm feeling, if I'm feeling pretty good, maybe I'm going to chill as in watching my teammates compete or whatever. Maybe I'm literally going to lie down in the stands, take a nap. I've napped at comps before, or maybe I'm just going to lie down and watch YouTube and whatever. Like I'm going to recover because it is a big enough period of time that you're going to have to warm up again.
Yeah, totally.
You know,
totally
so you can't really stay active, I don't believe.
I actually recommend, I'm not sure, just from a nutritional standpoint, not so much like all my vast experience competing, because I haven't really competed that many times yet. I would recommend eating, definitely eating, having a small meal if you have it, or a snack or something if you have more than an hour. Basically, if you have around about an hour between bouts, if you will, definitely eat. If you have more than that, say if you have like 2 hours, oh man, you can have a full meal. Like as long as you have 90 minutes for gastric emptying, you can have like a full meal, so long as it's not like super heavy. Don't go smash some pasta or something like that. But you know, some rice and broccoli or whatever it is. Broccoli and chicken, mate. Yeah.
Rice and broccoli.
Yummy.
Yum.
That's what everyone eats, right? That's what normal people eat. Rice and broccoli. Yeah, so have like a small meal if you have it there, or like go get something, nothing heavy that's going to sit on your stomach. But
Don't
yeah,
eat what I ate for breakfast then.
Yeah, bro. Muffin and fucking
I walked
chocolate.
into recording this morning and I was like, oh, bro, I was so hungry. I ate a muffin and then I ate a scone and I'm like, bro.
Yeah, so nothing that's going to make you feel lethargic, and try to like, you know, I suppose limit the heavy carbs because you don't want that carb crash. But man, if you have like 90 minutes, definitely eat. If you have an hour, like just on 60 minutes, so it's like in that rough in between time, then you can have like a small snack. Definitely get some like yogurts into you, get something like easy to digest, maybe a protein shake and a piece
Smash
of
a
fruit.
banana, bro.
Yeah, man.
Bananas
Yeah.
are money.
Yeah, man. So smash like a couple of bananas, maybe like one of those squeezy yogurts. I always bring them to comps. And
Do ya?
like, yeah, man. Yeah,
I'm
super
not
easy.
big. I'm not big on
Yogurt?
No, I love yogurt. My dad doesn't like yogurt, but eats sour cream. He's off the. He's off the.
So weird. Okay.
because he's all like, I
Like
don't.
from the tub or?
No. But he's like, I don't like the consistency of yogurt. But then he puts sour cream on his nachos and shit. And I'm like, it's the same consistency, bro. Pretty much. Anyway.
His fucking taste buds aren't consistent. That's
Yeah,
what's
like I'm not
lacking
lactose
consistency.
intolerant or anything.
You're just intolerant.
Yeah, I'm just intolerable.
That too.
But yeah, I don't know, man. Like dairy before working out makes me a bit like, bleh.
Fair enough. Fair
You
enough.
know,
We'll
like-
go with whatever is comfortable for you. But definitely, the whole point is definitely to eat and refuel your carbohydrates. Get some fruit, some fast acting carbs, a little bit of
Just
protein.
hang out with me, Oshin, because like I'm usually the snack dude.
Yeah,
Well,
bro.
if I'm going to if I'm competing for myself, but also if I'm just going to coach, I essentially pack snacks for me and someone else.
Yeah,
well,
100%.
someone like as in, if I'm going to
Enough for
throw
2 people.
if I'm going to throw in a banana for me, I'll usually like throw in 3 bananas. So, cause if there's someone who's like, oh man, I'm hungry
Got
or,
nothing, yeah.
someone I'll be like, bro, do you want a banana? Or,
Yeah.
like what the last comp, I think I just bought like,
You were trying to hand them out.
like 4 boxes of, muesli
Yeah.
ish bars or
Yeah.
whatever,
You were handing out
protein
food
bars
and
or
shit.
whatever.
and
Yeah.
I had so much as well because I'm the same. I like bring enough food for feed a small family. So
Yeah.
like I'm bringing all the food and I'm handing out.
But it's weird because
You were
people
trying to
were,
give it to me, I was
people
trying
were
to give it to you.
taking my muesli bars, but I mean, no one wanted your broccoli and rice.
yeah,
bro.
what the fuck? Eat the broccoli. Eat the broccoli. Come on, man. It's
Yeah,
good for you.
but
No,
yeah.
I wouldn't recommend heavy vegetables. Like chili bars. Just say it. Just don't take that advice.
Well, it depends how much broccoli you have until it's considered heavy.
Yeah, that's a good point. 1 piece of broccoli, that's a light snack. But if you eat a whole bushel, it's a bushel, right? Like a forest.
I don't know, bro. All I'm doing
It's a
now
punnet-
is
a
picturing
punnet
you
of
just
broccoli.
walking down the street like the same way that someone would just be walking along eating an apple, and you just
munching
got a
it,
whole
buddy.
thing of broccoli.
It's
Yeah.
good for the soul.
Yeah, but Oshin,
Definitely rest.
an hour, bro. Just chill.
Yeah.
And if you
How long would you recommend warming up again? So it's
Oh,
different
okay,
from
that's
the
another good
start,
question,
right?
yeah.
So the start, what, like half an hour? Let's go both. From completely cold to in between.
Yeah, so if it's like, completely cold, I haven't done anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably half an hour if my division's set for 11, maybe
Yep.
10:30. I'm gonna
Agreed.
put my gear on and start doing some sort of, the warm up routine that I like to do. Yeah, if it's then a second division, so I've warmed up and then cooled down again, so to speak, and probably just once I get called to the bullpen. I get called to the bullpen. Like I only need that sort of 5 minutes, let's say 10 minutes. I need that sort of 5-6 minutes to warm up and then, a couple of minutes for my heart rate to come back down and I'm good to go.
I've actually not warmed up before. I've done both. I've done like the full 30-minute fucking like religious, had it all written out, like, done it all like that. And then I've also just rocked up.
And how'd you go?
Fine. I'd like to say that. Oh yeah, warming up was like I highly recommend warming up. Like obviously reduces.
But I'm
your
sure
risk.
there's
It improves your performance, reduces your risk of injury. It helps with nerves, things like that. But I've been in a situation where I was late and I was like barely made it as is, and I just sort of rocked up and
you probably
shut up.
warmed up just from your increased heart rate.
yeah,
with the stress of being
100%,
late.
100%.
Yeah,
But
I'm sure you could walk in without warming up and do fine. You could also walk in without warming up and get smashed.
Yeah.
And,
Well, you might have gotten smashed anyway, but regardless, I think
you weren't there, bro.
yeah. Yes, I was. I was there in spirit. But for me, this is relevant to warming up, I suppose. One thing I've learnt is when you are warming up, have a specific routine planned out. Don't rock up to the comp and not know exactly what you're going to do to warm up. And I mean the exact exercises. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm going to do 10 reps of this, 10 reps of that. But I'm going to do these exercises in this order or these 5 exercises. Because if you're trying to warm up and you can't think of anything, you're stressed, you're nervous about things, you just start floundering around, you're going to get decision fatigue. You're going to be like, oh, what do I do? You're going to spend too much energy thinking about the fucking warm up when you should be, getting in your zone or thinking about the match or whatever works for you. That just works for me. Take it or leave it. Yeah, that's it.
Take it.
Take it. Take it.
Yeah.
Take it like a man.
And if you struggle to just chill and relax with that hour, 90 minutes you've got because you're stressed, anxious, man, just watch some YouTube or something. Just, I don't know.
Yeah, I struggle with that. When I
Just
have an hour between.
just switch off,
Yeah,
bro.
I like to watch other matches, like watch my teammates' matches if they're there. So I'll do that in between while eating. So I distract myself with, okay, like this is the process. I need to eat. I need to do this. And this time I need to start warming up. So I like set out like a little schedule and like I bounce around and give other people, hand, oh, do you need help warming up? Do you need this? Rah, rah, rah.
You want some broccoli?
Yeah, he wants some broccoli. He's a bushel of broccoli, right? Like, okay, yada, yada, yada. So that's what I would recommend. That's what I do. So yeah, but I know Oshin, he definitely competes quite a bit. So there you go. All right. So you ready for the last question? The third and final question, the final boss.
Send it.
Here is the last question from Lucy.
As someone who's just getting started in jiu-jitsu, I wanted to know, there seems to be a sticking point where you're learning a lot of technique. However, it seems to be a little bit difficult to integrate it into actual rolling and actual fights. And I'm just wondering, is there a point where it gets better and you improve and you start to recognize how to integrate, or is there some suggestions on what you can do to improve?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's definitely everyone goes through that sort of point. And similar to how I said for Dave that it's okay, like plateaus are normal. This is a normal, what you're thinking and feeling, Lucy, is very normal. Everyone goes through it at some stage, 100%. So it's okay. Understand that what you're feeling is normal. And the reason that happens is because jiu-jitsu is very overwhelming and there's a lot of information to try to implement. But it's also, in the beginning, everyone that you're training with is more experienced than you. Like, until someone newer joins the gym after you, you're at the bottom of the table, right? So everyone that you train with probably knows the moves, the techniques that you're trying to do. They probably already even know the counters and whatever. So it can feel like nothing works. However, how do we sort of address that? Our long-time listeners will remember this advice because I've said it a few times. The first would be to try to not overwhelm yourself, because when you turn up to the class, you don't know specifically what's going to be taught on that day, right? And it could be a whole mix of things. Let's say it's just a beginner's class. Well, there's still lots of different positions that are going to be taught and techniques that are going to be taught. So instead of trying to memorize everything, yeah, you're going to learn a lot of it just by being there, but try not to overwhelm yourself and focus on one technique from each of the main positions, which would be close guard, half guard, side control, mount, back control. All right, 5 core positions, has a top and a bottom, so 10 core positions, right? If you could learn 10 techniques, so 1 from each, you're at least not going to be completely overwhelmed. You're not going to have someone on your back and think, I have no idea what to do. You're going to be like, oh, well, I know this one escape and I'm going to try that. So you're not going to feel completely lost. You will still run into that situation of, well, the guy or girl I'm training with is more experienced. They know how to stop that escape, but that's just part of the process. Otherwise, the next thing you can do to be able to start implementing the techniques is specific training. It's probably one of the most valuable ways to train jiu-jitsu. So for those who aren't sure what I mean about specific training, I mean doing something like, okay, starting in close guard, as soon as there's a pass, a sweep, or a submission, we reset. And you'll do X amount of time on top, then X amount of time on the bottom. So you're then having a roll, but it's limited to that one position. Because let's say you and I are training, Kieren, and I want to improve my, submissions from the back, and we just have a regular roll. Well, maybe I never make it to your back.
You never make it to my back, bro.
Never. Because I'm never even taking you down. Never. Right? So maybe we have 10 rolls and I don't get to your back. So it can feel as if a whole year's passed and I've not gotten better at attacking from the back, right? And when you're new to jiu-jitsu, all these positions that are getting jammed down your throat at once, like it's already hard for you to understand close guard, but then you have a regular roll and, You know, you're like, oh, close guard, whoop, they're into half guard and whoops, side control, and then they've mounted you. And then you're like, oh my God, they're choking me. And it's all too much, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But if you limit the roll to inside one position, you've then gone from potentially 10 rolls where I never make it to your back to now I get a set amount of time, might be 3 minutes, where the whole time I'm on your back. And if you do escape, we reset and I get another chance, right? And then you escape again, I get another chance. You know, so I might have, in 3 minutes, I might get, 10 chances to try to submit you from the back, opposed to a regular roll, I might get 0 out of, months of training with you. So specific training is really the best way because you get multiple repetitions of that hands-on trying to do it. I always give it an analogy like with like surfing or like with like a chef or something like that. Doesn't matter how much you read or learn, you're not going to get better at, I don't know, filleting a fish or like dicing an onion or whatever it is until your hands physically do it. And you just have to do it a lot. It's not, you could have fucking Gordon Ramsay or Marco Pierre right there coaching you. It doesn't matter. It's not like they can spend 5 minutes with you and now I fillet a fish perfectly. Like it's just repetition. Like, you have to have, hands-on experience. So when you do specific training, you get multiple attempts of hands-on experience.
I spoke about this on a previous episode where I used to dislike training, like the Shark Tank training or like the specific training insofar as like pass, sweep, submit, and then a new partner comes in. I used to hate that style of training. I was the same with specific training. Whenever we would do it, I used to be frustrated with it because I didn't know enough about all the positions. So unless it was a position where I was familiar with, say we're doing specific training in like, passing guard. Okay, intuitively I could figure that out, so I didn't mind it. But if it was specific training in closed guard, I'd be like, fuck, this sucks. Rah, rah, rah. And I was on the bottom. But now, similar to the other side of training, I really like specific training because it's an opportunity to practice, like you mentioned, things that, either you don't want to do in a live role because you want to win.
Yeah,
right?
that too, right?
Or you just have more time in that position. But that's a really good one. And something that you mentioned about specific training so many times, but I'll mention it here, is specific training is a good opportunity to try things you wouldn't normally do. Like to try your B game or your C game, or to work on that, move of the day, or to work on the, take risks and see what works, see what doesn't work, see what you like. Because if you just stick with your 1 or 2 go-to moves in certain positions, you may never discover what might potentially be your best move.
Yeah. It's also a really fun chance to experience a part of jiu-jitsu that you wouldn't get to when you're just rolling. So what I mean by that is if you and I only ever just rolled normally, you would and we just legitimately just only ever had rolls, you wouldn't really ever get the chance to see what it's like, to
like
to have
back.
have a black belt, like escape your back control or whatever. And even for the other way around, for me being the more experienced person, like if we just only ever rolled, I would never get to, from a coaching point of view, like see how good your back control is, and right, because with a regular roll, you probably won't take my back, right? So there's a YouTube video that says otherwise. Yeah, So specific training is valuable from beginners all the way to advanced, right? But that's the way you got to think about it, Lucy. So similar to Dave, like I'll put it into the 3 things. Firstly, it's okay how you're feeling and thinking at the moment. I mean, everyone feels like that. And how long until that feeling goes away? Well, the old, you get out what you put in. I can't remember. I can't give you an exact number, but when I first started training, I got instantly addicted, and I probably trained twice a day, every day, 5 days a week for my first, I don't know, like 5 years of training or something like that. But I remember even as a white belt, even as a white belt day one, I trained that much, and it still took months. Like if I were to give you a number, I would say I did at least 100 classes, until I started feeling like, oh, I can actually like do shit. it takes a long time.
I think I'm approaching 400 classes.
And and I'm sure you still have positions, and like you're never getting to I have no idea what to do, or maybe even still, right, depending on the position.
Oh yeah, there's positions where I'm so lost and I just try and flounder my way around. But
so you get out what you put in. So that feeling could take a while, Lucy. It depends how much you're putting into jiu-jitsu. But firstly, it's okay to what you're feeling and thinking at the moment. Totally normal.
Yeah.
All right. Second of all, try not to overwhelm yourself. Ask yourself those 10 positions: close guard, half guard, side control, mount, back control. Do you know a technique for top and bottom for those positions? So do you know 10 techniques? All right. And then thirdly, specific training. Super valuable way to get multiple repetitions, multiple attempts at the one position, right? Where you get to have a role, but it's contained. So, you could get to ignore all these other factors that can overwhelm you, like a position quickly going from half guard to side control and then going, oh, fuck, it's all happening too fast.
And if you just have one move in each position, then you always have something to work toward.
That's
Even
right.
if you don't do it, like I remember the first class, or even one of the first 3 classes I ever did, there was a very specific technique that we learned, which is actually unusual because I've only ever seen it once since then. It's like that old like MMA style pass where you trap someone's hand behind their back.
Oh yeah.
That was like class 2. So every time I was in someone's close guard, that was my attempt at passing. That's all I did. Just try and pass their hand behind their back and then like do like sort of like a Sampalo style.
Yeah. It's kind of like it's like before the Sampalo pass was invented, that was,
I prefer that style of pass because it's safer than the Sampalo for me. Because I'm shit at the Sampalo. Yeah. And if you don't know the Sampalo, it's basically where you kind of switch your hips and have their in close guard and have like their close guard in your lap and you try and push that way. I'm explaining it terribly, but the potential of you getting your back taken if you don't maintain that underhook is very high.
Yeah, or omoplated.
Of course.
Or collar choked. But anyway, it has a bunch of risks.
Yeah.
But if you're good at it, it's a very good pass.
Yeah.
And also the last thing I'll say on that as well, Lucy, is because this can be, it seems obvious once it's pointed out to you, but sometimes newer people don't quite get it, which is that just because you know the technique and you might be able to do the technique, like physically perform the technique, doesn't mean you can execute it in a role, right? Because it's kind of like, if you go into a boxing class and I go, here, punch this boxing bag, and you punch it and you go, sweet, I can punch a boxing bag. Therefore, I know how to punch.
I can punch your face.
i.e., it will be very easy to punch this person in the face in a boxing match. No, it's very difficult to punch someone else in the face when they're A, trying not to get punched in the face, and B, trying to punch you in the face. Jiu-jitsu is the same. Just because you know a technique, well, when you're then trying to do it against someone who is physically not letting you do it, it's much harder than that.
The prime example is when you're drilling, right? And then they're being like too resistant. We spoke about shit training partners once.
Sagi.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a habit of that. You'll be like drilling with Sagi and all of a sudden he like takes you back and chokes you and you're like, bro.
What the fuck, man?
Let me do my flower sweep. But yeah, so that's another thing to understand as well, Lucy. Like I said, you could be an absolute demon, hitting the focus mitts in a boxing class, but doesn't mean that 100% translates to you landing 100% of your shots when you go into into a boxing match. So when someone's also not letting you do the technique, that's where it's a physical sport aspect comes in. You got to have the timing, the strength, the explosion, the flexibility.
Just keep working at it.
And
you progress it, right? Like with certain people, you're going to progress different techniques at different rates, right?
Yeah.
So for example, me trying to underpass you, I now need to deal with, I've gotten to the point where I can enter it sometimes, but you're shutting it down with a very specific technique. So now I'm researching how to shut that down.
Yeah. Whereas against someone else, you're probably,
that's not an factor.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because everyone's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice to you, Lucy.
Awesome.
Well, all right. So we're going to leave it there because unfortunately you text-based question senders.
We're not reinforcing bad habits.
All right. Embrace the technology. Be one of those people that calls a radio station
Yeah.
so we can all laugh at you.
No, we're not going to laugh.
We're not going to laugh at you. We're gonna play your beautiful voice, hear your questions,
Yeah.
and then try our bestest to answer them.
And if you have a question you want submitted, do so via Instagram. You just search Beyond Jiu-Jitsu. You will find it. It's on Instagram. It's in our bio. So check that out if you want to hear your voice on the podcast and have your question answered.
Otherwise, 10 episodes away, the big 100.
We got something special.
Celebrate good. Wait, didn't we get? No.
Yeah, you can sing it.
I
because,
can sing it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're not going to get flagged with copyright because you sound nothing like the original. It's
Oh.
okay.
Yeah, I played that on my phone one time.
Yeah.
I was like, wanted that little audio.
Yeah, and we got
bite,
copyrighted
and
straight
we
away.
got copyrighted.
Yeah.
Man, they're quick.
Yeah, I nearly got a strike. So,
Oh, man. All right.
Anyway,
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much. Yes, be sure to send in your questions for the next edition of Ask a Black Belt. Until then, keep training, and we'll catch you next time.